Oh god, we didn't even think about this. We didn't even plan this. We were just like, hit record, drink.
That's usually the first step. Hello, this is Beer Protocol, the Beerthralls podcast about Marvel Crisis Protocol. Learning how to play with Marvel toys slightly better than we did the last time we played with them.
Actually, we did get a little better.
We're flush with accomplishment this week because we actually got some outside validation that we kind of know what we're talking about.
We've been playing against each other for like weeks and just learning the basic rules and just basically digging in and going, okay, this was a weird interaction. How do we do this?
Yep.
Went to a tournament at Huzzah Hobbies. If you've not been to Huzzah Hobbies, go. It's a great place.
Ashburn, Virginia, Northern Virginia. If you're anywhere near it, check it out.
Both got 3-1.
Yeah, we went 3-1. We won most of our games, which was good.
And actually, I would have gone 4-0 if I was able to kill one character. It literally came down to last turn, one character, and a bunch of dice rolls, and I flubbed it. So, yeah.
So, in regards to you failing to complete and deliver on the promise that you thought you had, who are you and what are you drinking?
I'm James. I'm drinking. Well, we're both drinking. What are we drinking? The bourbon.
Reach.
Trader Joe's Bourbon Barrel Aged Columbia Supremo Coffee Stout by Hardywood.
It's a Hardywood coffee stout. Those are usually pretty good.
And it's just got a Trader Joe's thing on it. But yeah, it's the cappuccino Colombian coffee. Yeah. And who are you?
I'm Jacob. I am also drinking the Colombian coffees. Sorry, we have to say the full title. Trader Joe's Bourbon Barrel Aged Columbia Supreme Coffee Stout.
So, yeah.
It actually is really smooth. Like, I will give them credit.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, so we're actually talking about the Wakanda Death Star. We promised this a couple episodes back. So Jake is going to describe what he brought to every single game.
So in every game at our tournament, I played the Wakanda affiliation. The four members of the affiliation that you can see are Black Panther, Killmonger, Okoye, and Shuri. I'm not going to try to focus and really talk about what each of them do individually beyond sort of their general role. The cards are pretty available online if you want to check that out.
If you also want, there's like Gamers Guild. There's a bunch of people who are doing individual breakdowns of the cards.
So the affiliation bonus for Wakanda is Black Panther's King of Wakanda, which lets them spend an energy to get a reroll on an attack, defense, or dodge roll. This was the first affiliation ability to come out where you spent energy instead of reducing cost or gaining energy. As a result, it does make the Wakanda team feel more energy hungry because they always have ways to spend energy one at a time. And thankfully, and this is a really big deal for them, all of the Wakandans have ways to gain energy pretty reliably. Their basic attacks across the board will generate at least one, if not more, energy. So they are constantly fueling up on it. It also helps that in terms of team composition, Shuri is a great support piece. Her ability, her basic attack, I think has been kind of back and forth between different groups. Shuri's basic attack only can do 1 damage.
She's not meant to be a damage dealer. It
is a range 5, 6 dice energy attack, though. So as long as she gets higher than their defense, she'll do that 1 damage. So it's a long range, pretty likely attack to do at least some damage. However,
and a push.
The rest of its stuff does not care if you actually hurt them, which also makes it very good. You get a guaranteed short push and a guaranteed energy. Shuri also has a passive ability. Whenever you roll a skull, will get you more energy. So Shuri wants to find a relatively safe central spot and then fire off 2 attacks a turn to get 2 to 4 energy on her own turn, regardless of what her income is or the scenario. Not always possible because this is a mobile game and you can't quite necessarily park in one spot.
Yeah. And
her other ability, and why I said we weren't going to go into every card. We kind of are anyway because Shuri is actually Shuri's a big card.
She is the keystone kind of the thing. She's the manipulator.
Yeah. So Shuri, for her allies within 4 of her, can freely spend energy off of her up to 3 to re-roll that many dice on their attack or defense roll.
And that is not restricted to her, it's restricted to them. So, like, if she's already activated, they can still spend the power to roll.
So, say, for example, an attack you really need just kind of whiffs it. you didn't roll skulls, so Shuri can spend 3 to re-roll the dice, and then that character can still spend 1 to use the team affiliation ability. It's a lot of re-rolls. However, you are spending a lot of energy to roll dice, which are never guaranteed to do what you want.
Right.
So it does kind of give the Wakandans a risk-reward feel, as they can spike really hard with the amount of re-rolls they get.
Which is important, because that's what you're aiming for. You're aiming for that one spike.
It can make a big difference. Okay, that's Shuri's job. She finds a centralized location where she can reach most of the team within 4, especially if the scenario allows it. And she tries to push the enemies, manipulate the field, force your opponent to not score points by having Shuri go late and then push them off the point. And in general, gives the Wakandans a lot of board presence and board control that they wouldn't otherwise really have.
So where's Okoye, Killmonger, and Black Panther fit in?
Okoye is a great little piece, only 2 points. She's the second 2-point model in the game. She does bodyguarding, and she has a surprisingly high melee damage output. She did 9 damage to the Hulk in a single activation by herself, unassisted.
My Hulk?
No, this was at the tournament.
A different one? Okay.
She just straight up, from like behind a pillar, like the player forgot she was there. This little 2-point model just walk up and melees the shit out of the Hulk.
God dang it.
Okoye is scary. That's largely in part because her cost 4 attack can give her flurry for extra attacks.
We don't need to go into Killmonger. We know what Killmonger does.
Fun rules clarification I saw from the Wills about the game. For attacks that give you multiple attacks, like Okoye's flurry, Valkyrie's flurry. Let's say, for example, another character has a counter attack.
Oh, is this the MODOK's? Also the MODOK's?
No.
Okay.
Say Baron Zemo has his counter attack up, and you hit him and generate a flurry.
Yeah.
Okoye gets to resolve her flurry attack before Zemo gets the counter attack.
Oh, I did not know that.
Now, Zemo will get 2 possible triggers for counter attack, so he could counter attack twice because there were 2 attacks, but you fully finish resolving the effects of Okoye's attack before Zemo gets to counter.
Because I read the one where MODOK, so MODOK's chair says you can attack another person off of 2 inches off of that person.
Yeah.
If that character is removed, there's no one to measure 2 inches off of.
Yep.
So I thought that was the one you were talking about.
The Electro Leap stops.
The Electro Leap stops, yeah.
No, in this case, there are 2 characters who have the counter attack, Zemo and Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
Both are still getting taken, so it's going to be relatively relevant. And then there's,
especially Zemo.
I think there's like 3 characters that can get multiple attacks off of one action.
Yeah.
So, relevant. Good to know. Okay. Killmonger is your beat stick. You point Killmonger at the thing you need dead, and he pretty reliably does it.
Yeah.
For 4 points, there really isn't a lot of just pure, raw beat sticking. That's a weird phrase. So Killmonger does a good job.
Sticking.
So with a lot of characters, your kind of pattern of thought is their basic cost 0 attack is usually decent.
And it's actually pretty good for the Wakandans.
And then their more expensive attack that costs energy is usually, that's the big ticket item. That's the thing you want to hit them with. Killmonger, that's not necessarily the case, which is what I learned with a lot of games with him at the tournament. Killmonger's basic attack has a good chunk, a good handful of dice, 5 dice. It's energy, which kind of catches people off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And it has Pierce. And you get energy for each damage you do, which in combination with Pierce is hilariously great.
Sorry, Bill.
Deal with it, buddy. So what I've noticed, Killmonger's stronger attack repositions him within an inch of the target and can stagger, which is really good. However, if Killmonger's going for the kill, don't just automatically spend the energy to do the stronger attack. You get 2 more dice, it becomes physical, but you lose the Pierce.
Yeah, you want the Pierce.
The Pierce, especially with as many dice as Killmonger can throw, that Pierce comes up fairly reliably. And again, with as many different ways he can get dice and get rerolls, the 2 dice difference isn't necessarily enough to be a decider.
Now, we have seen, when we've discussed this before with Pierce, it does flip to blanks. So things like Captain America, Black Panther,
anyone with martial arts.
Anyone with martial arts that says blanks count as blocks.
Not going to help you.
Not going to help you.
Against a lot of other stuff, though, it's real good. Especially since we are correct in that you get to activate a wild ability once for each wild symbol.
Yes.
So I know there was some back and forth on that one. We weren't sure if you only activated it once. I think it is once per please correct us in the comments or shout at
No,
us if
so
we're wrong.
if it's just one wild, so like Hulk has a wild and wild. If you roll one wild, you trigger both because it only requires a single wild.
But if you roll 3 wilds, do you trigger Pierce 3 times or once?
I think according to Pierce, it says you would trigger it 3 times.
Okay. We can check, but we're not going to do that. So just like kind of my experience, Killmonger's basic attack is genuinely good. I would potentially open if using his costly attack gets you into position to hit someone else on your turn, or if you stagger a critical piece that your opponent's trying to move, absolutely use it. If you're just hitting face as hard as you can, stick with Killmonger's basic attack.
So how's Black Panther fit in?
Black Panther is, well, he's the leader, which is helpful. It's also nice that he's sturdy. Black Panther is like a weird mirror inverse of Captain America. He counts blanks for his defense on the front of his card. On the back of his card, he can spend 2 to add 2 dice to his defense, which is the flip of Captain America. On his front, Captain America gets the spend 2 to add 2 dice. And on his back, he counts blanks.
Which is nice.
I think the effect, Captain America gets tankier once he takes damage. Black Panther gets less powerful defensively.
He has to actively try it as opposed to defensively try it.
Right, so bursting down Black Panther is usually a good strategy. It's not always going to work, but dice are dice. It's sometimes really hard to reliably say this is going to work even half the time.
The question I have is you have to bring So you have to bring Black Panther because you
want a leadership ability.
You need leadership ability. Is it necessary for the Wakanda Death Star?
I will come back to that in a second.
You have more with the Black Panther.
I do, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Fair enough. Okay, but Black Panther's really important for Black Panther. His basic attack does make him energy when it hits, but it also has a push, which is before damage is dealt, push the target character away. To my knowledge, that is not optional.
If it doesn't say may, you have to.
Right, so it's really important to know that Black Panther's basic attack does do pushes, and both of his attacks are range 2. What that means is Black Panther is very rarely, unless you have terrain to push them into, going to be able to hit the same thing twice in a turn.
Yeah.
So that kind of encourages you to stay really mobile with Black Panther because he has a long movement. Okay. I actually don't use Panther's second attack very often. It's very, very energy hungry. It can potentially do a lot of energy damage and do a little splash damage all around him. So you do have an AoE, kind of. It's also an AoE that only does 1 damage and pushes things away.
But you do 2 basic attacks to get more dice.
Well, it's still one of his actions to use it.
Yeah, but I mean, like the 2 basic, so his basic attack is what, 5 dice?
Mm-hmm.
So and his second attack is 7.
6 base, and you can spend 1 energy for 1 more die.
I'd rather go for no energy to do things like the shields and stuff, and roll 10 dice and 2 attacks.
As energy hungry as the Wakandans can be with their reroll ability and some of the cards that are available, energy's good. Okay.
You want to really conserve that energy for this attack.
Oh, also Black Panther has one of his superpowers is spend 2 to get all the rerolls you want for all of his attacks this turn, which is so bonkers good. It really kind of shows that they did not really intend for him to do a lot of multiple attacks at the same turn.
Yeah, he with his leap and like a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. He's get in, get out.
Black Panther's pounce is really important to the character. He throws himself short and doesn't take damage, but it still counts as a thrown object for anyone he throws himself at. It is a short throw, so it does give him some repositioning. Not as good as an extra move because it has to go in a straight line, and he'll stop if he hits something.
If he hits something, that's 3 dice to dodge. Or it's 3 damage to dodge.
3 damage, they have to dodge it. So, Black Panther's a good piece. He was not the beat stick of the party, with my experience. That was always Killmonger. Always Killmonger. But Black Panther was a really good positioning piece. Okay.
The Death Star.
Excuse me. The Wakanda Death Star is, you take the Wakandans, all 4 of them. They have 1 action card. We're going to be talking mostly about this action card because, as someone at the tournament literally told me, this team is not worth taking without this action card.
Correct.
I wouldn't say correct. They're definitely worth taking with other stuff. Wakanda Forever. Each of them spends 1 during your turn, and they get to make a cost 0 attack. this
Hi, cat.
they,
You are really noisy.
they have become vocal. James,
Holy
the cats.
We're
The cats
talking
are
about
coming.
Black Panther, and suddenly they start meowing like crazy.
So Wakanda Forever is a really strong card in most of the games of the tournament. Actually, I think in all the games I won, I used it first turn.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard. It really is kind of hard to overstate how much this card does for them. It is only a once per game effect. However, it's cheap. Notably, unless you did some shenanigans with picking stuff up, it's cheap enough that you can play at turn 1 with no other energy in.
Yep. Which is good, but kind of neutering yourself. But really,
not really, because one of the reasons it is so good is, remember how I said all of the Wakandans cost 0 attacks, make them energy?
yes.
So if they all get an attack off, you start turn 2 with more energy than you would normally, and now you can go into your really big damage output.
That is true.
That's part of the reason why it's such a key play, is it gives you it can potentially, based on how the dice go, give you a lot of energy. Like, I had Killmonger do 5 damage off of Wakanda Forever, and just picked up 5 energy for round 2.
So if you don't know, Wakanda Forever basically just says make a basic attack.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Buddy, take a drink. So, other really dumb, fun stuff you could do with Wakanda Forever. Black Panther's got a long movement. There is nothing in the earth saying you can't move twice, play Wakanda Forever to give him a basic attack.
That's true.
Wakanda Forever is like literally almost a full rounds. It's basically, it gives you 1 action per person to make an attack. That costs you no resources other than the one you spent to play the card.
Yep.
And will probably make you some resources, and it gives you positioning shenanigans. So Black Panther, and say your opponent knows it's coming, or they suspect something's up because you've positioned the Wakanda Death Star, usually in like a crescent formation,
like really weird pincher,
like a half semicircle with everyone just pointing in at what they want to die.
Which is usually Hulk. Just saying.
Look, I only killed Hulk from full to dead once.
Yeah.
Mostly because you haven't played him against me since.
Yeah, I'm not playing Hulk again. This thing kills everything.
Oh, no. We're going to do a bonus addendum to this episode to talk about why you should play Hulk.
No. So,
really strong. You got to remember the pushes. So with the 4 Wakandans, there are 2 pushes in those cost 0 attacks. Black Panthers and Shuris.
Mm-hmm.
So you paying attention to that. Something I did more than once is I used Black Panther and his long movement to get behind someone I wanted to murder. Black Panther took his attack first, pushed them into range of Killmonger and Okoye.
Yep.
Actually, really the only person you have to get within melee range for this to work is Killmonger.
His push, though, says it's you can't do anything like Hulk size. So not Hulk, not MODOK.
No, it don't.
So you can just push anything.
It just says push the target character.
So yeah, push Hulk, push MODOK.
Okoye has a cost 0 range 4 energy attack that gives her a guaranteed energy. It's also the fact that Okoye has a range 4 attack.
Yeah.
Makes this super viable to pull off. Killmonger gets his 5 dice. Pretty notable. Gets energy off of that, though, which can really accelerate Killmonger's next turn, giving him that charge, plus some change if he needs it for rerolls or to use his other abilities. Shuri is almost guaranteed to be able to get into range. Dumb stuff I've done as well. I've used Shuri to push someone into Black Panther's range. If Black Panther only needed 1 move and maybe a pounce to get there. If Black Panther's the one who activated, it's still his turn, and he gets enough energy off of his basic attack to pounce, profit.
Plus, this is why you do like the pincher maneuver, where you kind of want to surround the objects, the characters you want to kill. And we're not talking like, oh, you might wound them. Things are going to die.
Oh, days. It's turn 1.
Days or KO if you do it later.
I mean, you can hold on to Wakanda Forever for a later turn. Kind of my experience, though, is you want to get at least 3 of them to make attacks. And if someone is dazed or knocked out, the Wakanda Forever starts to become less valuable.
Yes. Yeah.
If you can get all 4 attacks off, Wakanda Forever is pretty much at maximum value turn 1. That was my experience. You may get other ones. I do recommend considering. Being able to daze a character turn 1 before anything happens can be really strong.
You're going to give them the turn, but you're down dazed characters.
I mean, if they've already activated by advancing.
That is true.
Now, it does give your target all of their energy from damage because you don't have any easy stuns.
That's right, because you're Wakanda Forever just basically says you just make an attack. So
Yeah.
it could be the last person in your activation.
Oh, yeah.
You do Wakanda Forever, and then suddenly just things just die.
That's usually when I do it, is Black Panther is the last one to go on my side. He gets into position, and he starts the chain of Wakanda Forever.
Yep. All right. Fun.
I have dazed Thor turn 1. I've dazed... That was the biggest one. But pretty much...
know. Taking out Hulk turn 1 was pretty impressive.
Turn 2.
Turn 2. Well, because I positioned it.
I had to position.
Yeah.
That is a big part of that flexibility. Wakanda as a team, no single model is more than 4 points. They don't have like the raw power that Thor, MODOK, or Hulk has. So you are working with lower point models. You kind of need to get maximum value, but the Wakanda team does synergize with each other fairly well. Okay, so other cards I ran that I think have a lot of synergy with Wakanda Forever. Vibranium Shielding. If Black Panther or Shuri have extra energy on them, they can spend up to 4, or they can spend up to 5, and then all of their allies within that much of that model. So if Shuri spends 5, it's within 5 of Shuri. If Panther spends it, so on and so forth. Gets Invulnerability 1, which reduces damage they take from all effects by 1. Weirdly enough, I also saw this stacks with Iron Man.
So he's blocking 2?
So he's blocking 2 from pretty much everything. That actually gives Iron Man some noted use. Like, we're pretty down on Iron Man on the show.
I really don't want to be like, that makes Iron Man useful.
But it's a 3-point model that won't die. Which is just something to be said for that. It's a great defensive ability, especially if you find yourself unexpectedly up on energy. Speaking of which, if Killmonger makes 8 energy in a turn because you're only using his basic attack and he's turbo murdering things, what's he going to do with the energy? He's going to play Advanced R&D and spread that around to the rest of the team. Advanced R&D just lets you take a pile of energy for one person and give up to 1 to the rest of your team. It's great for when someone unexpectedly does a lot of damage with their basic attack, generates a bunch of energy, and doesn't have a use for it right away. And then finally, if you're taking Killmonger, really should consider Usurp the Throne. It gives Killmonger 2 extra dice to attack the highest threat piece your opponent has. If you take it out the turn you play Usurp the Throne, you get 2 victory points.
Which, I want to say, was annoying the one game that we played, where we were both sitting at 16. And by playing this, we found out that there was a rule that says, after you get past 16... you automatically win. It's
weird. The rulebook said Jake wins.
I know. It basically turned out and just said, so here, Jake, here's how you win. And it was just Killmonger.
The last game of the tournament, my opponent did wind up conceding. It was a bit of a rough blow. But what basically happened is I was able, turn 2, I was able to rush Killmonger to Red Skull because of positioning shenanigans.
Sounds familiar.
Because of positioning shenanigans, Red Skull didn't have a Hail Hydra target.
Yep.
And Killmonger dazed Red Skull. Just straight up, done. Turn 3, Killmonger went before Red Skull and just KO'd him in like one just straight out attack.
Because you had so many already like kill points on him.
Yeah, so Killmonger does get more rerolls the more things he takes out. So he is like a snowball effect. If you can protect Killmonger with Okoye or just use distance because Killmonger does have charge.
Yep.
That'll do you good. The one other thing I want to mention real quick for what I found was also interesting that I didn't appreciate before the tournament is everyone in the Wakanda team has an energy and a physical attack.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Shuri has 2 energy attacks. It's just you're not really taking Shuri for her attack profile. But the fact they have that flexibility is not actually guaranteed.
It's actually kind of nice.
Because it means you can... Like, Venom is a big deal. He's interesting in the meta right now.
We'll talk about that one in a second.
He has his counterattack. He can heal. What Venom is really weak to is ranged energy attacks.
Yeah.
That are outside of his counter threat. So Shuri and Okoye, with her poke, can weaken Venom to the point where Killmonger can go in with his basic and take Venom out before Venom can counter.
That's why if you do the... if you're doing this early in like turn 2... and then you throw up the Vibranium Shielding, you have that entire turn of getting the Invulnerability 1, which is great against like Venom or anything else coming after you as a retaliation.
Yeah, honestly, assuming you don't like lose one of your key pieces, turn 1, Wakanda Forever, generate the energy to play Vibranium Shielding turn 2 as soon as you go. It is not a bad 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
But that is kind of the core piece of the Wakanda Death Star. It can do a lot of burst damage really quickly, which I think just surprises people. For it is basically for kind of humans. Like they're not like Black Panther is pretty much like the biggest meta human in the pack, and he's very popular. But for a group of not super, I feel like they're not like superhuman Marvel superstars.
So they
do a lot of work.
I've seen you play it, which is devastating. I've seen other people play it. Going after, say, Hulk, you can whittle down Hulk pretty well with his defense too, especially if they're already activated and there's nothing around him to prevent it. With the Death Star, you pretty much just take the large character off the table.
Now, in that scenario, I did use Usurp the Throne, and it was Killmonger's turn. So Killmonger had Usurp the Throne and 3 attacks.
But you still had another attack after. Like you still I still have something else to do. I shoot this other guy.
Yeah, like Killmonger does a lot of damage. Yeah. If he gets fed a little bit, he can snowball a lot from there. Like one of my opponents did play Killmonger against me in a Cabal team.
It's not as good though.
It's still pretty good because he gets energy when he hits things.
He does, but
it is weird though because his basic attack, I genuinely, if you're just looking to KO someone and not for a tactical advantage, Killmonger's basic attack is better.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Other cards
for list building? For list building, I kind of went back and forth with Field Dressing and Trip Up. Was my other pick. Field Dressing lets you undaze someone for 4 energy. However, the team is pretty energy hungry. After Wakanda Forever, I usually had enough energy to do shielding, but not always shielding and field dressing. So it was just kind of, if I had the energy, great. If not, it just kind of sat there. Trip Up's really cheap, but oftentimes I discovered that, oh, hey, people are going to revert their status conditions when they flip from dazed to their wounded side, which a lot of times just means it didn't do anything, and I spent 2 energy.
Yeah. Trip Up is one of those things that I find to be okay to take and useful when the opportunity presents itself, but the problem is the opportunity doesn't present itself enough to take it.
Now, I would play Trip Up against Hulk. 100% Hulk is hurt pretty bad by Trip Up because of the stun.
And now also, say like Groot coming out would also be affected by that.
Does he not have a dazed?
He does, but the problem is that he's got very high health, and he's also got that 7-power attack. And keeping him from doing the 7-power attack is just neutering him.
I don't know. I mean, he can spend 3 energy to heal 3, so I feel like he's going to be spending most. Anyway,
but
next week we'll actually have all the Guardians cards, and we can talk about them.
But let's talk about one important thing.
One more thing.
Okay,
sorry,
go ahead.
And this will be my last thing about the Wakanda team. I do want to point out one thing I actually really liked in a tournament setting is their flexibility for points for list building. So taking all 4 Wakandans is 13 threat. That means that if you're playing a 15 threat scenario, Black Widow fits in there and gives you a strong scenario piece that has a long movement, can go run and contest stuff, can grab an objective and run back into the shadows and try to hide. She can't really do damage, guys. Black Widow is surprisingly tanky, though. She has martial arts, so she just snuggles up to somebody. She can be difficult to kill once she gets blanks on her defense. Like, I definitely had Okoye just fail to do any damage.
But when you jump up to 17...
When you go to 17, now you can take Wakandans and another 4-threat character. There's a lot of 4-threat characters, guys. Take your pick. If you go to 18 points, like the one scenario available that does have that, now you can just take Thor.
Yeah.
Just take Wakandans and Thor. That's 18.
Which, then once again, that pincer move then becomes, I'm pushing a bunch of people together and they're doing lots of damage, and he just jumps in and just thunder everyone.
Yeah, he won't get Wakanda Forever at all, but he's still Thor. And finally, at the 20-point level, 20 point is where Wakandans don't have a super great answer because now there's 7 points. You could literally take a 3 and a 4 point and have 6 characters.
That's not bad. I mean,
but I feel like at 20, I didn't play a single 20-point game.
You know, actually be good for that. If you did a 20-point and you threw in, say,
or you could even take Thor and Black Widow.
Winter Soldier, because then you get the extra range. You get some extra, like, oh, sure, I got knocked out. I get to do the machine gun attack. it gives you a little bit of flexibility. Plus, he's part of the faction when you build it.
True, but if you're taking all 4 Wakandans, then you don't really need that.
Yeah.
As far as teams go, I think Avengers and Cabal are going to be super flexible because they have so many models available for them. With their low point cost overall, I think Wakandans fit into every point level easier than Asgardians for sure. Asgardians are really strong, but taking all 4 Asgardians is 16 threat, which means you just can't take all 4 of them if it's a 15-point scenario. You have to cut someone. It also means you pretty much can only take the Mind Stone if it's a 17 threat scenario right now. And they can only really add another model if you're at 18 or above.
So,
or you just cut an Asgardian. That's up to you.
If you had to cut one of the characters from the Death Star, who would it be? Or can you? Does it have to be all of them?
If you absolutely were going to cut one of the Wakandans from the list, it would be Okoye.
Okay.
She's 2 points. So, I mean, just by pure threat, she's bringing the least to the table. She's very, very good in certain scenarios. She also has martial artist, and she has good defenses. So she can actually tank up if she's in melee.
Okay.
And she can deal a lot of damage in melee. So she's very good in that scenario. But this is a list where you also have Killmonger. So if your goal is to get someone to melee, he's probably the priority.
I mean, I like the Wakandans for one reason. Killmonger is part of Cabal.
Yep.
Black Panther is part of Avengers. So you literally can bring all 4 of them and then extra stuff and either have a Cabal list or a Wakanda list or an Avengers list and a Wakanda list.
Shuri is good enough. You should really consider Shuri for a lot of lists because her reroll power is not faction specific. If you're within 4 of Shuri and she has energy and she makes she just does it. And if you have 1 to 2 energy, she makes 1 to 2 energy every attack at least.
Yeah.
And she can even make energy if she gets attacked.
So, how do you undo the Death Star? Venom's pulls. Getting people out of position. It makes it great.
Weirdly enough, Shuri dunks on Venom.
Really? Oh, because the energy stuff, yeah.
So her attack is energy, so Venom can't really stop it, so she can poke him for 1 damage all day long.
Yeah.
She pushes Venom short, which is his movement, which keeps him well out of position. If you somehow get 2 attacks off on Venom, you just took away Venom's entire round.
That is sort of true unless you can pull.
And you park Shuri behind terrain so he can't pull her any closer.
So,
if you use terrain effectively against Venom, his pull is not that good.
So
but he can throw, which helps offset that.
Yeah, park behind something that's less than size 3.
I mean, so Venom does have range 3 in his melee, so he can get roughly a range 5 stick when he moves and attacks.
Yep.
But that's Shuri's range.
Yeah.
So Shuri outranges him, can reliably damage him for her 1, and can push him out of her range and his range. I had one of the games at tournament where I just flat out controlled Venom with Shuri.
And that's a thing to do. But I see Venom being good. Like anything that can give you pulls, pushes, something to get the Wakanda Death Star out of position.
Granted, once Wakanda Forever has been played, which again could be the end of turn 1.
Yeah.
After everyone's already gone, the Death Star semicircle's not super relevant anymore.
Yeah.
So they're going to move and be out of that.
Turn 1, don't bunch up your characters. Like, give them something to eat. It might happen, it might not, but just give them bad choices. It's like, okay, cool. You're going after Black Widow. Congratulations. You're going after...
I'm not using Wakanda Death Star on Black Widow.
I mean, some people might. They're dumb, but they might. If you give them the opportunity to do the Death Star on something or multiple somethings, Red Skull being very important Cabal.
Give me Red Skull the Death Star.
Don't give him Red Skull. Please don't give him Red Skull. Because Red Skull's going to be walking near somebody within range 2. The Death Star can now take out both of them. And they're not going to go after Red Skull first. They're going to go after the Guardian first. And
No. I'll attack Red Skull, force him to spend.
Oh, so he has no energy on him.
And then I'll take them out and then hit Red Skull.
But don't clump up.
Or do.
If you're playing Wakanda, hope they clump up.
So other Wakanda weaknesses, Wakanda is relatively squishy. Like, Asgardians are running around with 3 physical dice, like 6 health at a minimum. Okoye has 4 health.
Yeah.
She's got that 2 threat health. Panther and Killmonger are at 6 with good physical defenses, but Shuri will go down with concentrated fire.
Also power. They're very power hungry.
Also, like, this works for almost every affiliation, but take out the leader.
Yeah.
Like, Black Panther does get worse once he flips. So if you get lucky and you just do 5 damage in an attack, or if he doesn't dodge something, he's real close to taking away their reroll ability. Venom is really effective against Wakanda if he gets to melee, simply because he doesn't let them manipulate their dice, which is their saving grace.
They also have to be clumped up kind of a little bit, so like Cap can throw a shield and bounce off things.
AoEs are effective against these guys, especially since a lot of the AoEs are somewhat lower damage, but these guys have lower defenses and lower health.
Yep.
They're not quite full-on glass cannons, but they're definitely not as sturdy as some of the other affiliations.
Yeah. So if you're going up against the Death Star, know they're going to do this. You're going to be this is a completely freely information game. You will see their cards. You'll know what they have. You know what they brought. If you see that they're bringing Wakandans with what the heck, the Wakanda Forever, and they have all this other stuff lined up.
I'm so proud of you, buddy.
They're going to do this. So just kind of spread out. Avoid them. Also...
Well, don't lose scenario trying to avoid them.
15 points.
They excel at 15 points.
I can do Cabal against some 15 points pretty well.
How many models you bringing?
4.
I have 5.
I'm going first.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's true. But then Killmonger gets to go immediately after that and kill whoever was important to you.
I mean, I'm not going to get that close. But, I mean, like, if you...
Oh, it's irrelevant whether you want to get that close.
I think the lower points they're going to excel at, yes. But also, as soon as you lose a character, dazed or something, you're breaking that entire...
Again, you are giving a lot of power to Wakanda Forever, and you should. Wakanda Forever is at maximum value when everyone is up. Yes. That's why you spend it early. Ideally, if you don't give them a way to spend Wakanda Forever early, you could drain it of its impact, but you're also likely not actually taking away its potency until some of them are down. And then you got to expose yourself to do that.
I have no problem. Now, when I ran into this when I was playing the tournament, I had no problem at all going, cool, go ahead and take your points to begin with. I'm not going to run out there and try to grab points. I'm not going to pull into the Death Star. And basically, I just shifted everyone to one side. So I had to force him to start bringing the slower characters like Okoye and Shuri back over.
Who are both medium speed, so by far the average.
Yeah. So
why am I defending them? I don't care.
I forced them out of that position. If you force them out of position and you start dazing characters in sequence, then yes, you can break this. But it's still terrifying to go against.
Yeah, if you had to prioritize pieces to remove, if you get lucky on Black Panther, or if he's out of position, like if he extends pretty far and you can surround him on most of your team, he will go down with concentrated fire, and they lose their rerolls.
Venom pulling him, somebody pulling him out of position.
Losing the rerolls hurts them defensively and offensively. Taking out Shuri for the same reason, because then they lose their board manipulation, they lose their rerolls. That hurts them pretty good, especially if they haven't used the armor yet. Otherwise,
MODOK throwing up his psychic shield.
I mean,
like things that bump up your armor also kind of like is like, I can offset this a little bit. Loki is like insanely good at this.
Go on.
Where he can just go, cool, you're attacking me? I move out of the way. I mean, he has to have the power for it, but yeah.
And then you do get another action.
Yeah.
So if it's Killmonger.
But you lose the energy. That's the thing. Is that if I can get you to lose the energy. So it's tough to get right against.
My new dream is to send Killmonger with 4 energy, have him charge Loki. Loki moves, charge again with the action you just gave me.
It's like, hey, thanks for the action. I can still get energy.
I got 2 move for 1 action.
And he's just like, oh, this is bad. All right, so thank you for watching. I am terrified of the Wakanda Death Star, but I would love to see Guardians come out. So.
Say, bonus content.
Oh, yeah.
I want to add this real quick. For why should you consider... I played against someone who brought Hulk at 15 points.
I did too. What the hell was with that?
Because, as one of my opponents, may he live in infamy, called it, that big dick Thor Hulk energy.
Okay, I can see that.
So, 15 points. He brought Captain America, Hulk, and Thor.
And Thor.
That is a power trio.
Did he do the throw?
That was yes. So I
Yep.
wanted to talk about in terms of turn one. Oh look, your character's gone. Alpha plays. There's the Wakanda Forever, and then there's Gamma Launch with Hulk.
Yep.
So the way this one works is Hulk and Thor start near each other. You activate on your turn. Hulk plays Gamma Launch. Does not have to be Hulk's activation.
Yep.
It just says during your turn. Hulk picks up Thor, throws him with the 5. Thor lands on his feet because Cap's around, giving the Avengers bonus. Thor gets to charge for 2, which is all he has because of Asgardian, and he lands a hammer blow after he is thrown 5, moves medium, range 2.
By the way, I didn't know this. I had somebody do that against me, and I was just a little bit out of distance from Red Skull. Like, Red Skull was literally like less than an inch outside of his range.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I didn't know that could happen. I am so glad that I messed that up.
I lost Black Panther, hands down. Because, don't forget, Thor still has one more action after he gets there and hammers something. Also, if Thor didn't somehow kill whatever he hammered, they are staggered going into round 2, so they're going to lose half their turn.
God, that combo was amazing.
And I guess if, depending on what happens, Thor probably is going to make energy on that attack because his basic gives him energy. It costs him 1 to throw the hammer.
Yeah.
Which is a range 5 attack. Like, Thor can reach out and touch basically anyone in your list with this setup.
Yeah, you can start at the back of the board and still get hit by Thor's hammer.
So yeah, I 100% admit that one. Seeing it in play once made me reevaluate the Hulk.
Yep.
But on his own, before Thor, Hulk was kind of With
Thor is insane.
Being able just to deliver that beat stick so far into your opponent's field. Now, end of turn 1, that does mean, end of round 1, there's a pretty decent chance your opponent just can't respond to it.
Yeah.
Because they've activated their models. Also really important, if you have fewer models, or I think the rule is if your opponent has more activations left than you do, you can pass. So 100% you let your opponent activate more models to advance, put something in your range, pass once or twice, because you only brought 3 at 15 points.
Yeah.
Or if it's 17, maybe you have Black Widow.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about like the tricky things, like the passing and the small rules that we don't realize that are there.
But like the Thor Hulk combo, I think makes the Avengers affiliation way more viable than it was before Asgardians came out.
I agree.
Don't ignore it.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for watching. We will hopefully actually have a guest on in a couple weeks. We have one more week, and then we're at Adepticon. So if you see us at Adepticon, hey, come say hi. That's pretty much it.
It's in one more week.
2 more weeks. We got 1 week, and then we have 1 more week, and then we have Adepticon. Which means I gotta get painting.
I should consider maybe painting.
I really have to get painting. All right, so thank you once again.
Thanks.
Give off.